On today's episode of the Tweet Show podcast. We got a pretty fun one. We got some NFL topics to discuss. We also have a NFL preview a bit. We're going to do some NFL team previews and divisions. So we're going to discuss the AFC West and the NFC West, those two divisions and those teams. And we'll do some discussions about them, and we'll talk and see who's good, who's bad, who's not, and all those fun stuff. So with that being said, let's get started with today's show. Another edition of the Tweet Show podcast. I am your host, of course, Chandler Tweet. And if you are listening to today's episode, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast wherever you may be listening on Apple or Spotify. This podcast is sponsored by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free and it's available pretty easily. So anyways, let's jump right into it. Some NFL news. Julio Jones is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And my initial thoughts were like, wow, the Bucs are stacked. But then I was like, wait, this isn't 2017. Julio Jones isn't who he is anymore. Now, granted, I'm not saying that Julio Jones isn't a talented player. Or he is what he's not what he used to be. I think he's still like a very valuable player to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he's going to do well for them, but he's not 2017 Julio Jones. Like he's lost a step or two. I mean, he's not a top 10 wide receiver. I mean, he's gonna go down as one of the best wide receivers in NFL history for sure. He's a Hall of Famer, and there's no question. But I just don't think it's gonna improve their offense a significant a bit, because they lost to Antonio Brown because obviously he quit during that Jets game, which if you think about it, was a wild sequence. When that happened, that was wild. But anyways, they also recently signed Kyle Rudolph, who was with the Giants, and then also previously to that he was the Minnesota Vikings. And I think obviously that was the position in need, because obviously Rob Gronkowski retired from the NFL, so that was a position in need for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if they want to continue to compete in the NFL. And then NFC, it's an NFC conference with Green Bay and the 49ers and the Rams and the Saints and just, whoever else, I guess. Those are the only teams I could think of that are really going to compete for that Super Bowl. But anyways, Julio and Kyle Rudolph are going to be some great additions to that team. I think Tom's probably going to throw one or two more touchdowns, probably, whatever his over-under is. I'm sure it's like 30-something, I'm going to guess his over-under is, like 35. If you want to go bet on Tom Brady throwing over whatever his touchdown total is, go right ahead and take the over on that. Anyways, like I said, I think Julio Jones is still a very good player. I don't know, he did pretty well when he was with the Titans, but like when he was with the Falcons, like that, I think it was his last year with the Falcons. It's like, bro, what happened to Julio? Like, what happened to him? Now, granted, I think it was a bit of the offense, and like it wasn't suiting it for him, because like if you really think about it, like him when he was with Kyle Shanahan, that was like his best year. Like that was like obviously Matt Ryan won the MVP that year and all that stuff, but like that was probably one of the good years of Julio. And Julio, like I said, it's gonna go down as one of the best wide receivers to ever play this game. He's so talented. He's so big and strong. But anyways, let's move on here to the other news in the NFL. We have, if I can find it, where did I put my thing? Oh, here it is. The Vikings GM telling Pro Football Talks, he had a press conference, and somebody must have asked about Kirk Cousins, and he said the following, that Kirk Cousins is not Tom Brady. And everybody's like, okay, well, yeah, we know that. Hold on, let me just get the quote, and then I'll read it. The GM acknowledged that Cousins is a good quarterback, but GM added that we don't have Tom Brady, ... We don't have Patrick Mahomes. So Cousins is good enough? the Super Bowl, then he went on to continue to say the Super Bowl is more likely to win if you have that quarterback, the GM said. I'm going to try and pronounce his name because it's like Abdul Bo. I don't know. I'm not even going to try it. It's a weird name. It's very unlikely to have that quarterback. The active Super Bowl winning quarterbacks include Brady, Mahomes, Stafford, Nick Foles, Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Aaron Rodgers. That's 7, and only 5 are them are starters. So I was like, why did he say that about Cousins? I wonder, I guess what was the question? I would like to know what the reporter's question was about Kirk Cousins. I guess it's probably in a sense hey, what are your thoughts on Kirk Cousins and what do you expect from him this season or something like that? It was probably something in that form, but I would like to know what the question was the reporter asked. So anyways, he obviously it's obvious he doesn't have Tom Brady because Kirk Cousins is not Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes because those two are talents. Or one of them is a GOAT, the greatest of all time. The other one is one of the best quarterbacks, the top 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So I mean, you can't really compare Mahomes and Tom Brady to Kirk Cousins, and you can't compare Kirk Cousins to Tom Brady and Kirk Cousins. That's not gonna work. We all know that Kirk Cousins is not a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but he's a very talented quarterback that can win you games and maybe win you a playoff game, but he's not going to be a quarterback that can win you a Super Bowl. There's only 5 guys in the NFL that have actually won a Super Bowl that are starters. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady, Wilson, and Stafford. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the other 2 are backup quarterbacks. And one of them's in the New York Jets, and the other one's with the Indianapolis Colts. And they're both backups. Think about that. Think about that. Out of the 32 teams, only 5 of them, active players, have actually won the Super Bowl. Crazy. Now, last year would have had Ben Roethlisberger, but now he's retired, so you're down to 5. So it's dang, that's crazy. I mean, if Brady would have retired this year too, you would have been down to 4. Really? You would have been down to 4 active players. Now, granted, there's going to be some, I'm sure by the time this season comes, in the next 5 years, we'll probably get back up to 8. But, I mean, for the time being right now, that's crazy to think about. Now, only 5 active players, 5 active quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl that are starters. That's crazy to think about. But I don't know why he said that, though. Why was I guess he probably just wants to get it out saying, I don't like Kirk Cousins. I want him off my team as soon as the season's over with. And we just want to draft a rookie quarterback. So, I mean, I don't really blame him. But they got Kellen Mond from Texas A&M, who the other regime drafted. And they didn't really give that kid a chance because Mike Zimmer is just an old stubborn man that didn't want to put him in, even when his team sucked. It's nah, nope, I'm not putting him in. He's well, why won't you put him in? Wouldn't he be sort of the future? Nope. Not going to put him in. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes with the Vikings. But I feel bad for Cousins that his GM's yeah, he's not Tom Brady. Well, it's well, no shit. No dib, Sherlock. Nobody's Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not even Tom Brady. I guess, wait, why would I say that? Tom Brady is Tom Brady. Anyways, that was kind of oh, wow. That's an interesting quote. Next topic, we have just some quarterback battles to watch out for. You got the Carolina Panthers with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold battling out for that QB1. And you got the Pittsburgh Steelers a bit. I mean, probably Mitch Trubisky's probably going to win that starting quarterback gig for the Steelers, even though they drafted Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh this past draft. So we'll see how that goes. Most likely Mitch will win the job, but you got to obviously win the job by doing your job in training camp and doing the job in preseason and doing your job in the regular season, help your team win and all that stuff. So, and then the last QB job to see is the Seattle Seahawks job, to see who comes out victorious and wins that job. Even if it's someone in that building right now or someone who's not in the building right now, that could be. So we'll see how that situation goes with Seattle if they're going to trade for another quarterback, because there's been rumors about if they're going to trade for Jimmy G or not. So very interesting to see how that goes with Seattle's quarterback situation. But yeah. Next one we got is Joe Burrow had surgery to remove his appendix. And my initial thought was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know how much story this is, but dang, I hope he's doing okay, which I'm sure he is. It's just an appendix, and you're gonna live without it. I think people have said that you're most like it's the appendix is like the most useless thing in the human body. It doesn't really do much. So heck, I don't even know what it does. I don't think anybody really knows what it does. It's in your body and just really doesn't do anything. I'm sure it does something, but I don't think it really does much. Like your heart obviously pumps blood and all that stuff, and makes you stay alive, and your brain makes you think, everything else works except for this one little thing in your body that doesn't really do anything. So obviously, I don't know why he's getting removed now. I don't know. I'm sure there's a whole story about it. I just saw the headlines like, oh, he's removed. He's got his it's appendix removed. So, okay, Joe Burrow. I don't know. Like the only time I hear somebody getting their appendix removed is because their appendix exploded or something. It's like, I'm in pain. I need this removed or something like that. So, I mean, I still have mine in my body, and most people that I know, I think, still have theirs in their body. If you don't have yours, please comment in the YouTube and be like, I don't have mine, and see how many people are there that don't have their appendix, because I still have mine, and I haven't had a problem with mine being again. But I was trying to think, I was like, where the heck is it? If I remember correctly, it's on the lower right, somewhere around this area. Can't really see on the camera, but I think it's below your stomach, near your it's some other one. It's the long attempts. What's that organ called? Like there's the long and then there's the short. What's those called? Anyways, it's right below those. So yeah. And then you had Kyler Murray needing 4 hours of studying game film in his contract. So the Arizona Cardinals and the Kyler Murray agreed a contract to pay him $230 million in a span of 7 more years. He's still on his rookie year deal, and then after this season, I believe his extension kicks in, and so he gets paid a bit more money and so all that stuff. So, anyways, we didn't see the details didn't come out until later, because like everybody just saw the numbers, and then the details came out to see where's the with clause and stuff like that. Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport like to see all that stuff, seeing okay, what's some things to look in that contract and see some details about it. And then Ian Rappaport noticed that Kyler Murray must watch 4 hours, at least 4 hours of independent studies of game film, and he was like, wow, you don't see that often, because he was actually looking for like a baseball clause, because Kyler Murray was a top 10 draft pick for the MLB by the Oakland A's. So I think he was just, kind of looking for that, see if there was anything for that. But he ended up finding the independent study hall has to do for his team. But yeah, I was like, oh, wow, Kyler Murray has to watch 4 hours of game film independently or he doesn't get his money. So I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. You don't see that very often from quarterbacks. But I'm sure the Cardinals had a very good reasoning. But like, it was kind of like, bro, like you just don't study. Like I don't study, but like I don't study just because it's not my job. I study because I need the grade for it. But like your job is to watch film and make sure you're doing your job to succeed on the football field and you get paid. I'm just a student that just fails at every school, at every class. But you don't, like I study and I still fail my tests. You don't see me be like, it's okay, I'm still getting paid $100 million. No. I mean, come on, dude. It's like, what are we doing? It's like, golly. Oh my gosh. But anyways, it's like, oh my gosh. Like like I said, I'm sure the Arizona Cardinals just wanted to put it in there, be like, hey, we believe in you and we want to invest in you, but you gotta, I guess, take more serious of your game prep, and we want you to watch. As a fan, as an Arizona Cardinals fan, like, does he not watch film? Is he just playing video games? What is he doing on his off time? What is he doing? and he has every right to be doing whatever he wants to be doing. But like during the season, you gotta watch film, and you gotta do your job, or your team's not just going to succeed, and you're not going to succeed if you're just playing video games all day. I mean, so anyways, I mean, I think he's part of some like video game. He's some part of some clan, like a video game group or something like that. I know he's part of something. I can't think of the group's name. I know he's part of that group. But anyways, I think that was it for. What was that other one I was going to mention? So Deshaun Watson still has yet to be suspended. I don't know why he is yet to be suspended. Is it because they just? I mean, NFL training camps have started, and he's still getting reps for the ones and all that, and like obviously his backup, Kobe Brissett, who's on the Browns, is also getting the reps for those ones. But I mean, he's still getting majority of the reps for those ones, and because the Browns are just assuming that he's going to get suspended, but they just don't know when, because the NFL has yet to put out like when he's going to get his suspension. So I don't know whose job it is to suspend Deshaun Watson, but like I think the minimum should be 8 games and the max should be the whole year. So it's like decide. It like I'm sure, like I'm not a lawyer. I don't play a lawyer on the podcast, so I would need someone a bit of a more expert on this stuff. So I don't know really what to say about it. So I'm not going to really try, but just in my opinion, I think I think at the minimum, I think he should be 8 to 9 games. I think he should be suspended for at least 9 games. That's half the season. That's good enough. They play 17 games. So that's half the season. So let Kobe Brissett just play half the season. So I mean, the NFL needs to figure this whole legal stuff out. Like I said, I don't play a lawyer, so I guess I don't really know the legal stuff and where we're at in this case and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see in the next couple months, because it's July 27th and the first preseason games coming up here actually pretty soon, I think. Or no. No, yeah, in 2 weeks, I think it's preseason football. So, yeah, some good stuff going on here. So, anyways, let's move on here to, was that all my news stuff for football? Let me just look here. Yep, okay, that's everything for football-wise. And now let's transition here. We're going to talk teams and divisions. So we're going to start with the AFC West. So we're going to break down all the teams and who's going to win, who's not going to win, all that stuff. So I'm going to start. Who's going to win the division? I believe the Denver Broncos are going to win the division. And in second place, I'm going to have the Chargers at 3. And I'm going to have the Chiefs at Chargers at 2, Chiefs at 3, and Raiders at 4. Now, I thought about putting the Raiders at 3, but I was like, no, I can't go against Patrick Mahomes and all that. He's got history. He's just, you can't really doubt the guy, because he's been the 4 straight AFC Championship games. So he's obviously proven that he can win at any level, at this high level, and he continues to succeed at it. So I wouldn't really doubt him, but like I'm doubting him to not win his division. I'm just gonna say that. I think he'll be in the conversation, because I think this division is going to be so tough, because you got the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson, you got Justin Herbert, and you got Patrick Mahomes and Derek Carr. Those are 4 really good quarterbacks. So it's like, oh my gosh. So anyways, let's start with the Broncos first before I got carried away with the Chiefs. So start with the Broncos, and obviously, like I said, they have Russell Wilson. They inquired him during the offseason, and then they have Randy Gregory, and they have Melvin Gordon. They have Bradley Chubb. He's a very solid player. They got Patrick Surtain. They get some young, talented players on that team. So I thought, okay, if you bring in Russell Wilson, you have some years. And I was like, all right, you're gonna build something. You're gonna try and win now, because you got some really talented players for sure. And you got Jared Judy, you got Cortland Sutton, you got Melvin Gordon, and that rookie. I believe his name is something Williams, Javon Williams, I think is his name. I could be wrong. I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong. Williams, and they got Melvin and Cortland and Jared Judy and Tim Patrick and that Albert guy. And then they drafted a tight end, I believe. And anyways, I mean, their offense is going to be pretty solid. Obviously, it's going to contribute on what the offensive line's like. I think they're going to be okay in the offensive line, but I'm not too familiar with their offensive line situation. I'm sure more Broncos fans are probably going to be more situated with them with their offensive line, but I'm going to assume it's going to be pretty solid. Obviously, Russell Wilson's pretty mobile, so he can escape and use his legs if he's going to have troubles, with pocket time. But anyways, I think the Broncos should be pretty solid here. Like, I think they should not easily, but they should win the division. I think they're probably one of the more talented teams in that division, even though the Chargers are really talented. But I'll get to the Chargers in a sec. But I think because I saw the Broncos win total was at 10. I believe 10. It could be 10.5, 10 or 10.5, wherever you see it. But anyways, it's at 10 wins. So I'm like, they could easily get to 10 wins. I would hammer that over. I would definitely hammer over the 10 wins. But like I said, this division is going to be really tough. So, I mean, they might come close. I think they'll get to 12 to 11, I think. They'll be like 12 to 11 wins. So let's move on to the Chargers. The Chargers also win total is at 10 or 10.5. Like I said, you got to see what sports books are at. What was I going to say? Oh, the Chargers, the Broncos had a really talented roster. The Chargers roster is really talented. You got Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, J.C. Jackson, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Murray, that Murray guy on the middle linebacker. He's talented. So anyways, God, if you think about it, it's like, how can the Chargers now win this division? I think they have a very legitimate chance of winning this division. Like I said, I'm going to go with the Broncos, but you can persuade me and say the Chargers are going to win the division. So I have no love. I'm not smitten on the Broncos winning division. I just had them winning division this year. But you got Justin Herbert, who's like the second best, who's got tied with the second best odds of winning the MVP with Mahomes and Brady at plus 900. And I mean, Justin Herbert's going to enter his third year, and obviously they sniffed a little bit of what the playoffs could look like. Obviously, he lost in that game against the Raiders, which was a crazy game to begin with, because neither team really wanted to win nor lose. They just wanted to tie, because that way both teams get in. But anyways, obviously they upgraded on some positions like Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson and all that stuff, so they can improve their defense for sure. Their offense is going to be very talented. It's still going to be an electric. I think Justin Herbert takes another step into his career and his development as a quarterback. Like I said, obviously that's why the sports books put him at the second best odds to win MVP. But anyways, like I said, the division's going to be tough. There's going to be no easy wins, that's for sure. When they play divisional rivals, there's going to be no easy wins. But outside their division, I think they can easily win. Let me just kind of pull up the Chargers' schedule here real quick and see what their schedule kind of looks like. So let me find it here, if I can just get it pulled up. So their first game is actually against the Las Vegas Raiders. And then they got the Chiefs. So the first two games are against divisional opponents. So I'm going to say they beat the Raiders, but they lose to the they beat the Raiders. They lose to the Chiefs because it's going to be at the Chiefs. Then they beat the Jaguars. They beat the Texans, so they would be 3-1. I'm going to say they beat the Browns. That make them 4-1. I'm going to say they lose to the Broncos. That's 4-2. I'm going to say they beat Seattle. That's 5-2. I'm going to say they beat the Falcons. That's 6-2. I'm going to say they beat the Niners. That's 7-2. I'm going to say they beat the Chiefs here at home. So I make them 8-2. I'm going to give them a loss against the Cardinals. So that'd be 8-3. I'm going to give them a loss here. That'd be 8-4. I'm going to give them a win against the Dolphins. So that'd be 9-4. And then you got the Titans. That'd be 10-4. You got the Colts. I'm going to give them another win here. That'd be 11-4. You got the Rams. So that would be 12-4. Yep, 12-4. And then the Broncos, 12-5. They're gonna go 12-5. Like I said, they're probably gonna win 12 to 11 games for sure. There's gonna be 12 or 11 wins for sure. I think, because like I said, I think the Chargers easily have one of the most stacked rosters in the NFL. I was just thinking in my head, that's one of the top 5 best rosters you could think of for sure. But anyways, I would think probably some weakness to look out for. I mean, they did improve their offensive line, but I'd still want to see if they still improved on that. But anyways, I would say also I don't know, I'm trying to think of what other positions or what other units or weaknesses there could be. I don't know. I don't see there's a whole lot of weakness of the Chargers. Obviously, they got to so like I would probably say this instead of losing those close games, you got to win those close games. Now, this is the year you have to win those close games because I feel like they lost a lot of close games instead of winning those. So you got to win those close games now. I don't know what their stats were with those close games, but I feel like if they win majority of those closer games that they're in, then they're gonna be a pretty tough team to beat in the playoffs. So let's move on here to the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, they have had a pretty interesting offseason. They traded away Tyreek Hill. It's not because they don't like Tyreek and they wanted to get rid of him because they didn't think he was a good player. It's because Tyreek kind of wanted more money and they didn't want to give him that money-ish. And they wanted to keep him because obviously he's a very talented player. But I think it was just more like, all right, fine, we'll separate and that's fine. But dang, you're losing Tyreek Hill and that's like Mahomes is like him and Mahomes were like crazy. They were like unstoppable. And so obviously now Tyreek was with the Dolphins, but we'll talk with the Dolphins when we get to that. So then they also lost Tyrann Mathieu to the Saints. And they also, I believe, who else did they lost? I feel like they lost somebody else, but they lost some key contributors to their team last year. They still have obviously Patrick Mahomes. They still have Travis Kelce. They still have Andy Reid. They still have Chris Jones. They drafted pretty well. They drafted Sky Moore. They drafted that guy from Purdue. He's a DN, defensive end out of Purdue. He's George something. Can't think of his name, but I think he'd be a solid player for them for sure. They traded for Melvin Edgem. Or is it Melvin Ingram? Yeah, Melvin Ingram. Yeah, that's his name. Okay, yep. I think their offensive line is going to be a really, really good because like last year it didn't get off to a good start, but then it slowly got better as the year got on. So I think their offensive line still could be really really good. They'll be a lot more better this year. They're going to obviously protect Mahomes more easily, but I'm curious and see how this offense looks like because now they have obviously with the loss of Tyreek Hill, you bring in Juju Smith-Schuster, who played with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you bring in what's his name from the Packers, Marvell Scantling or something like that. He comes from the Packers. He's a deep threat guy, but he's not like Tyreek Hill deep threat. But he's not. He's still fast, but not like Tyreek Hill fast. And he's still a deep threat, but again, nobody's like Tyreek Hill. So, anyways, they bring in those two guys, and I also said they also bring in Sky Moore, who's a wide receiver out of Western Michigan. So they still bring in these three guys, but they lose Tyreek. I think they also lost they still have what's his name? Nikhil Harmon. Yeah, they still have him. He still do good stuff for them. Like I'd say they still have weapons, but they don't have like Tyreek Hill. And obviously that's a kind of a big loss. But like I said, I don't think they're gonna lose too much of a step, but I think like just more yard production wise, they'll probably just be down a little bit. But anyways, I don't think I'm going to doubt Patrick Mahomes because he's one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the league. And obviously you still have Travis Kelce, who's one of the top 2 best tight ends in the world or like in the league. So anyways, and you still have Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, who's going to be calling the plays for them. And then like they're still very our offense still going to be pretty solid. Like I said, I think the only weakness I would say is probably that defense a bit, but I think they'll be okay because I think if they want to go the old Texas Tech route and just play shootouts, and I think they'll be okay. But like last time, I think Mahomes is like 0 for 2, and it's like when the score is like plus 40. Once the team starts scoring the 40s, he's like 0 for like 2 because I think he lost to the Rams that one year when that was like crazy Monday Night Football game when it was like 50 to something. But anyway, and then he lost to Baker in college, but that's for another reason because his Texas Tech team sucked. But I think wasn't there another game he lost because there was a high scoring game? I think was it Patriots? Was it the championship game, the AFC championship game or something like that? But anyways, if it's a shootout, he's kind of like and probably it's not going well for him. And anyways, but they can try it again because he can still throw as many as he wants and his arms won't get tired. So anyways, I'd probably say their defense. I'd say their secondary is probably their weakest point, but I would say. I would lean towards more of the Chiefs fans. If you're a Chiefs fan and you're listening to this, let me know what your strengths and weaknesses are coming into this 2022 season. Gladly read them and give you my thoughts on that. Let's move on to the I was going to say Oakland Raiders, but nope, the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Las Vegas Raiders had another very interesting offseason. They like the Chiefs did, they traded away their best wide receiver, and the Green Bay Packers traded their best wide receiver to the Las Vegas Raiders, who Derek Carr and him have a little relationship because they played with each other at college at Fresno State. So they're hoping to reconnect on those connections back in college. So let's see how that works out. I think Derek Carr, I've always thought Derek Carr was a very good quarterback in this league. I've always said that he's probably top 12 to top 15 best quarterbacks in the league for sure. You can have debate on if he is or isn't, but I always thought he was a really talented quarterback. I would also say that I would say their weakness is probably, or their strengths is definitely going to be their wide receiver core, because they have the Devontae Adams, who's one of the best wide receivers in the league. You got Hunter Renfrow, he's a really talented. And their tight end, Darren Waller, he's really good. And they got Josh Jacobs, he's good. I mean, their offense is going to be pretty solid for sure. I think their defense is slightly upgraded because they got Chandler Jones in the offseason. Max Crosby is still going to be a wrecking machine in the sack game. And their secondary, I think it has improved, but I think it still needs improvements. So we'll see how the secondary goes a bit. I think Josh McDaniels, who's the new head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, is going to do just fine. I think they'll for sure compete. And like I said, they're going to be like the one team that, like, if they were in any other division, they probably would win that division. But since in the AFC West, they're going to be very tough to win for sure. But I would, like, you can eat, like, anyone else can, like, make an argument, like, you could say that the Las Vegas Raiders are going to win that division. But, like, yeah, they easily could. They're really talented. But I wouldn't say they probably could. I think they have a very slimmer chance than everybody else, but I think they could finish second. I think their ceiling could be second. And I also think their over under was also like at 8.5. So that's an interesting one. I would probably take the over too. I think they could probably win 9 games for sure. 9. They'd probably go 9-8 or 10-7. I think their ceiling is 10-7. They're low at, like, the floor, or whatever you want to call it. Like, worst case scenario for them could be like 7-10. That's be like worst case scenario. They go 7-10. So, I mean, it's not the ideal season probably, but that's worst case scenario. Their floor, I guess if they had a floor, I would say probably, yeah, they're going to be 8-9. So their ceiling is going to be 10 wins. Their floor is 9, and their worst case is 7. So yeah, that's my thoughts in the AFC West. Like, it's a crapshoot really, because I don't know who's going to win. Because like I said, anyone out there can make an argument about any teams in that division. So yeah, those are my thoughts. And if you think I'm wrong, go right ahead, because I'm not gonna really back down. I mean, I'll stand by my position. I will stand by the Broncos winning that division. But like anything else, I guess, yeah, like I said, I'll have an argument. I'm glad to argue with it, but I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to the NFC West here. We got a pretty interesting one here. We got the so this division has the Los Angeles Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Seattle Seahawks. So my prediction is probably it's going to go Los Angeles Rams 1, San Francisco Niners 2, Arizona 3, and Seattle Seahawks 4. That's my thoughts on where standings would be. So I'm going to go from bottom to top. So let's start with Seattle here. Seattle is obviously in a rebuild, and they're not going to be very, very good this year, I don't think. But obviously we just don't know what the quarterback situation is, because like they could trade for Jimmy G, but they haven't really. I don't think anybody's been making talks yet. Even there's been rumors saying they could and couldn't, they will and won't. But it's going to be interesting to see where Jimmy lands up, if he does land in Seattle or if he doesn't. And let's take Jimmy G out of the equation. So let's say that it's just Geno Smith and Drew Lock. Then I would probably say whoever wins that competition. I think their over under was like at 5.5. So I would take the under, because I think their ceiling is 6 wins, or 6 wins. Their floor is 5, and the worst case scenario is 2 wins. So I'll probably say 3, because I don't think they're going to be that bad. But they did lose a lot of people. Obviously, Russell Wilson, and Bobby Wagner. I think they lost a couple of other people. Who's that one corner? Maybe they lost some people, but not a terrible much. But they still have some young, talented core pieces like DJ Metcalf and Tyler Lockett's still there, and some other guys for sure. I can't think too much of who else is on the roster because, Seattle's kind of been more relevant because they lost Russell Wilson and they're not a really contender now. So it's not really much to talk about Seattle. So anyways, I'd also probably say that I say their weak, like Seattle's weakness has always been the offensive line, which is still going to be, I think. Or who did they draft this past season? They didn't draft an offensive line. I'm pretty sure they did. Did they? Yeah. Right? Yeah. They did. Okay. No, wait, did they? Yeah. They did because they had 2 first-round picks, and one of them was an offensive lineman. I can't remember who it was. Wait, who did the Seattle? Who did Seattle draft? Let me look it up real quick. Who did Seattle draft? I think it was an offensive line, but I can't think of his name though. All right, so NFL 2022 draft. Charles Cross out of Mississippi State. Okay, that's what I thought they drafted, but I thought it was somebody else. Who did Carolina draft? Oh, I was thinking of the other offensive lineman from NC State. That's probably it. Okay. Because they've drafted. Who else did they draft? They had 2 first-round picks. It was Denver's and somebody else's. Or did they trade that pick? Didn't they have 2? Where's the other pick? Where is that other pick? Huh. That's weird. Maybe we got traded. I don't know. Anyways. Like I said, obviously you got that offensive rookie tackle in there, but I still think their weakness is going to be that offensive line. And I think probably the weakness is probably going to be that defense too, but also their major concern is definitely quarterback for sure. So like I said, it'll be very interesting to see and how that works out for Seattle with the quarterback situation. Let's move on here to Arizona. Arizona is going to be a very interesting team in the NFC conference for sure. Because obviously we talked about it, Kyler Murray having to watch 4 hours of game film because if he doesn't get his money, and also people are just going to make fun of him if he doesn't watch his film. So, like I said, Arizona, it's going to be a fun team to watch. They've always been a fun team to watch because they have Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray is one of the most electrifying quarterbacks in the league today. And I mean, their weakness has kind of been the offensive line, but I think they kind of improved it a bit. And then obviously they acquired Marquise Brown in the draft from the Baltimore Ravens during draft night. And I mean, they're off because they were probably I'm expecting they probably traded for him because 1, DeAndre Hopkins, and 2, it's because probably so like I said, I think they traded for Marquise Brown because of DeAndre Hopkins, and also it's mainly because of Kyler Murray and him have great connection back in Oklahoma. So it's going to be a very, very unique time there in Oklahoma for sure. Or not Oklahoma, in Arizona, because we got to see where Kyler takes his game to the next level or not. And if Kyler is willing to be that investment that Arizona thinks that he can be. And, Kyler's got to step up and be that quarterback that everybody expects him to be and all that stuff. So, I mean, I think Arizona's ceiling is probably 10 wins, and their worst case scenario is probably 7, and their floor would probably be 9 or 8 wins. Or no, worst case would probably no, they're too good enough to lose 6 games. They're probably 7. 7's their worst. Floor would be 8 to 9. Their ceiling would be 11 wins. Let's say that 11 wins. Yeah, I mean, because they still have JJ Watt. Their defense is still pretty solid because they got JJ, Buda Baker. They got some really young, talented defensive players for sure. But like I said, the only concern would be the offensive line because Kyler usually always has to run for his life most of the time. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's move on here to the 49ers. But I'm gonna I just want to make a quick note. Whoever's watching, if you're watching this on YouTube, yes. I added light to the thing because obviously it's getting a bit dark, so I didn't want to be too dark. So I finally just turned on the lights. But anyways, let's move on. Like I said, let's talk about the 49ers. Just want to make that quick comment. So the 49ers have officially moved on from Jimmy G and are starting the Trey Lance era for the San Francisco 49ers. And my thoughts are on the 49ers is that obviously they're going to go ahead and start with Trey Lance. And I believe in Trey Lance. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback. I just got to see him play. We obviously didn't see him play very much. He played like in 2 games. He had 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. If he played 2 games, that's pretty solid. He technically played. He started in 2 games, but he would get it in a couple snaps. But anyways, I think I've read some and heard some things out of the San Francisco 49ers camp that people are thinking that Trey Lance has really grown as a player and really has developed into a better quarterback than maybe we had expected and stuff like that. They're really high praise on him, and obviously they're going to say that about him because they want him to be good, but they want to high praise anybody on their team. But anyways, I do believe Trey Lance will probably do well for sure. I just, it's going to be tough to see, and you just got to see it on the field. Once you see it on the field, I mean, we only saw like glimpses of it in those 2 games and some of those snaps he took. But it's going to be very interesting because obviously the Niners have a roster that can win now and win the Super Bowl because they got Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams, and all those really good players on there. They have really talented players on the roster that could win. That roster could easily win the Super Bowl, and they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So they were in the NFC Championship game. They were 1 win away from being in the Super Bowl again. So, they're right there. So, it's just, and was it Jimmy G holding them back? Maybe it was. It could have been. But I still think that Jimmy G is still a valid quarterback that can win you football games because obviously he won football games for them. So, got him to the Super Bowl. So, he can't be terrible. So, is he the most accurate quarterback? No, and I wouldn't say that. But, the man wins football games. So, he just wins. The man wins. Does he win Super Bowls? No, obviously, but he wins you football games. He wins you enough football games where you can be competitive. You can be competitive. Any team that gets him would be a competitive football team. They'll win football games because of him. All he does is win. Like I said, just win, baby. But anyways, I would say the weakness for the Niners is probably going to be, I wouldn't say running back, I wouldn't say quarterback because it's an unknown because we're only going to assume that Trey Lance is going to be good. I would say no. I wouldn't say 9. I wouldn't say the wide receivers. I wouldn't say their D line. I'd probably say a bit of their secondary. I think is probably a bit weakness for sure. Because I'm trying to think. Because I feel like they give up a couple big plays on the in the secondary. Because I feel like the secondary is not as good as it used to be. But if any Niners fan out there that's listening can put in the comments. Or tweet at me at tweetshow on Twitter, and you just let me know if I'm completely wrong about your team. I could be, but I'm going to stand by it. So, I think their ceiling is probably going to be 12 to 13 wins. Their floor would probably be 10 or 9 to 10. Worst case scenario could be 7 wins. Worst case would be 7 and 10 or something like that. That'd be worst case, but because that roster is too talented enough not to win more than 6 games. So I think it would have to be just Trey Lance is not performing at his level that people expected him to be. But like I said, I think the Niners will do just fine. I think there'll be a playoff team again this year for sure. So let's move on here to the last team on the agenda, the Super Bowl defending Super Bowl champions, Los Angeles Rams, and so obviously they're bringing a lot of people back they're running it back with a lot of people. They obviously made some additions. They signed Allen Robinson. They also brought in Bobby Wagner. They're still kind of waiting on Odell Beckham because obviously he tore his ACL in the Super Bowl, so we're kind of waiting on his health. So they'll see if they'll bring him back or not. And they also got Cooper Kupp again. So, they got Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. You got those 4 guys. You're still going to probably be in contentions to win the Super Bowl again. And I was very happy for Matthew Stafford winning that Super Bowl because I was always watching him in Detroit because I was a Bears fan. I always watch him. I was like, dang, this guy is so good, but he's just on a bad team. And obviously, Mr. Dan Orlovsky is probably saying the same thing. You get him on a good team, he's going to win you a Super Bowl. And surely enough, he did. I would probably say the ceiling for the Los Angeles Rams is to win the Super Bowl. Their floor is to lose in the wild card, and their worst case scenario, miss the playoffs by a game or something like that. Missing the playoffs and winning like 8 games if people start getting hurt and stuff like that. So they still got the talent. They still got the pieces around to make another run for the Super Bowl. Obviously, it's very hard to win another Super Bowl because nobody's done it since the 03-04 Patriots did it when Tom Brady and them won back-to-back was the last time I think we've had a repeat champion. So we'll see if the Rams are going to be the first team to do it since then. I mean, they got all the pieces to do it, but obviously you got to do it on the field again. So we'll see how Matthew Stafford continues his growth as a quarterback. Obviously, we'll see if he either takes another step forward into his obviously being in Sean McVay's second year in the offense. See if he does any better with that, or if he's going to take a step back. I doubt it. He does because he's Matthew Stafford and he's still really good at his being quarterback. But obviously, he's going to be like 34 or no. How old is Matthew Stafford? I think he's like 33. Let me look him up real quick. Let me look up Matthew Stafford's age. Matt Stafford is, I'm going to say 33. He's 34. I was close. I was gonna say 34. I really was. I was thinking in my head, like, he's probably 34. So I don't think he's still probably got a couple more good years left in him, probably for sure. Because obviously Tom Brady's been playing since he's 43 now. So I would say that he doesn't have any more good years left. But I would say Matthew Stafford's probably got like 5 more years left in him for sure. Because Tom Brady's playing. He's 44 now. Or 45? I don't know. Man's old. So, I mean, Matthew Stafford can do it. A lot of these quarterbacks are going to keep playing damn near 40. And, you would think once you get to like 34 and 35, you're like, oh, man, this guy is old. Is he ever going to retire? But, now with Tom Brady, it's like, well, might as well keep playing. If you think you can keep playing at a high level, keep playing, bro. Keep playing. But, yeah, I think that'd be pretty much it for the Rams. I'm trying to think what else the Rams could do. I think that's really it. But yeah. Was there anything else? Oh yeah. So we're gonna wrap up the show here with 2 things. First, I'm gonna talk about this weird incident I'm having with work. So I put in my 2 weeks notice. So I work at a retail store. I work at a grocery store basically. So I work at this grocery store that's just down the block from me, and I'm a cashier. That was my part-time gig, or it was my job is to be cashier. So, with school coming up, I was like, all right, I'm going to probably put in my 2-week notice and just focus on school. I've been working there for nearly a year, and I put it in probably 2 days after the 4th of July. I just wrote down my last day would be this, and I wrote down why I'm leaving, a lot of stuff. And I last time I worked, I was looking at the schedule and I was like, because I worked on a Friday. My last time I worked was a Friday, and I looked at the schedule to see what next week's schedule was going to look like, and I was like, I'm just not working next week. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna have a little break and just trying to do some stuff. And it has been now a week and a half, and I still have yet to work, and they just took me off the system. I was like, oh, okay, because I was like, I saw it again that I wasn't working. I was like, okay, that's weird. So I was like, okay, cool. So it was kind of like, what the heck? Why'd you take me out the system now? I was still wanted to work. My last day was going to be like August 4th, but I guess they're just kind of salty about me leaving. So I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, no one contacted me or called me or texted me like, hey, could you I don't know. It's just kind of weird. They didn't say anything about it. They just, my HR lady who's not very good at her job. And I know she's never going to listen to this podcast, so I can bash her all I want. She's not very good at her job. And I know she's hooking up with our boss. So who cares? And I mean, she's bad at her job. She's clearly, and everybody there knows it too. So, like I said, I don't care. I can bash her all I want because she's never going to listen to this podcast and she's never going to hear it. So I know that for a fact, she's never going to listen to this. But anyways, I'm kind of salty too because I'm like I kind of wanted some extra cash before I went on vacation because I'm going to go on vacation here pretty soon with the fam. So like, okay, whatever. And anyways, like that was kind of a weird situation. Like, and then plus I was wanting to pick up a coworker shift so I can get some cash. And then I told the coworker, it's like, hey, I can pick up that shift for you. And they're like, okay, cool. I'll let them. I should have said her name. I'll bleep it out. But anyways, I told her, I was like, hey, I'll take your shift. And like, okay, I'll let her know. And then she got back to me. She's like, oh, well, blank said that you got taken off the system. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, great, fantastic, whatever. Sorry, I couldn't take your shift. They're like, yeah, and they're like, yeah, it's okay. It's not your fault. I'm like, yeah, I know. We're just like, what the heck? Why'd you take him out the system? Like, I told you my last day was August 4th. It's not August 4th yet. Like, I don't know. I guess they're just salty. Whatever. It's fine by me. I don't care. I'm glad I'm leaving. I'm going to do something else. Make this my full-time gig. Taking this thing to the moon, baby. But, and the next thing we're finished. We're gonna finish up the show with this. So I was listening to music today, and I came across this artist. I was listening to his music. I was like, oh my god, where has he been? And it got me thinking. It's like, because like I was like, dang this, and I posted on my Twitter. Does anybody remember listening to Kevin Rudolph in the 2010 era? I was like, where did he go? Where is his music? And I kind of like looked him up a bit, and he still got music out there, but it's not like he's not putting out albums. I think his last. Let me just look up him real quick. Let's see. His last album was. Let's see. He put out a single, but it says his last album was in 2010. It says he hasn't put out an album since like 2010. I'm like, okay. Hold on, let me make sure. But no, yeah, he hasn't. If I'm reading this correctly, he hasn't put out an album since like 2010. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird, but you got to do what you got to do. But he keeps putting out singles, but it's like, okay, it's like, bro, where have you been? Like, put some music out. And he has been putting out music, but I just want albums. I don't want to listen to singles. And like, obviously, they're not good songs, I guess. I don't know, but it's just like, you ever think of an artist and you listen to that song and you like his song, but like anything else you listen to, it's not that good. But like he has that one good song, like in most of the artists have like just fallen off from face of the earth. Like I put down I grew a list of artists that just kind of just had some good songs and then it fell off from the face of the earth. So I put like Kevin Rudolph, and then remember Sean Kingston with Fire Burning. That was a good banger. And then there's Beautiful Girls. I think he had another one too. And then the guy who sang Dynamite, and there's another one he sang. What was the other song he sang? Tia Cruz, is that his name? Is that how you pronounce it? What was the other one though? What was the other song? I feel like there was another song he sung that everybody liked. Like it's that. Oh, Breaking Your Heart with Ludacris. Yeah, that's it. Those are like his only two songs that he's ever put out. I'm sure he's put out music, but like everybody just knows those two songs. And then there's Bob, and like Bob is like, I like Bob. He's a rapper, if anybody was curious on who Bob was. But I like his music, and he's got good music, but he hasn't posted in music in a while since like, I don't even know, but I know like in the 2010 decade, that's for sure. In the 10 decade, 2010 decades, that's for sure. It's been a while. Because like I think I was still listening to him in high school, because there's a song of his that I liked. It was called like Headband. I like that song. And then obviously everybody remembers this band. If you don't remember, I mean, you'll know the song. So I mean, I wish I could just play some of these songs, but due to copyright stuff, I'm not going to deal with it. Especially on YouTube or even on the podcast. So I'm not going to try and deal with that. But anyways, remember the band, or remember the group LMFAO, the people that sing Party Rock and I'm Sexy and I Know It? Well, like what happened to them? Like I think I know the guy who's a bit taller and he has the bigger afro. I think he's still doing some music stuff, but like where does partner go? And why haven't they produced any music? Where did they go? Why did they fall off from the face of the earth? Like some of these artist people, I'm like, where did you go? Like, why did you stop making music? Like, I wasn't a huge fan of LMFAO, but like those are the only two songs you think of them. When you think of those people, those are the only people you think about. Those are the only two songs you think about when you when you listen to that, when you listen to those artists. So it's like, I guess, like I said, I guess the music business is a real tough one to get into, and it's real hard to stay in, for sure. I mean, if you get a hit, you get a hit. You just let that thing ride, baby. Make as much money as you can from that one song if you have a really good one, I guess. I don't know. The music industry is kind of very interesting, for sure. I guess I would love to interview someone who's in the music industry, for sure, because I'd like to know what goes into it and how it works and what makes a song good. Just, I got so many questions. I would love to interview someone about music, for sure. If anybody out there that knows somebody who's a music artist and that's like on the upcomings or just wants to be in the music, let me know and comment in it. Put the comments in the YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, say the person that you would love me to interview. If they're in the music, I would love to interview them, and I'll get them out and I'll spread the word about them. And I'll just any artist could be anybody. I love to interview them. I love interviewing people. Even I don't really do it that much here, but because it's tough to get people on here sometimes. And then, funny enough, actually, I mean, I could probably, no, never mind. I'll save that for another episode. Anyways, I think that's going to be it for today's episode. So make sure you like and subscribe to today's episode if you're listening or if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and also subscribe to the Apple Podcasts and Spotify or wherever you may be listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Rate it 5 stars. Let's keep this thing going. Tell your friends about me. Tell any others about this show. And I hope we just keep making good content for you guys. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody listening. I'll see you guys next time.